Well, we've been neglecting our update episodes, haven't we? We were like doing it monthly, and then we wanted to do it quarterly, and then did we even? I don't know.
No, it's past quarter now.
So well, time
We're
for an
actually in the
update.
second quarter. Actually, we're close to the second quarter being over.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hope no
So,
one's being strict about this.
no, I think it's fine. I don't think a lot of people listen to the update episodes anyway.
It's just for us.
It's just for
A
us.
little reflection.
Reflection episode. No, the reason why I wanted to do an update episode was actually to let everyone know that the podcast will be coming out less regularly starting from probably end of June, because I think we have enough episodes like up until then. Guest episodes. I think the last one we're recording is sometime in June. So probably until the end of June we'll still do weekly releases. And then from August until probably October, we're gonna do every other week.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
see how that goes.
And then depending on how we feel about it, we might stay at the every other week pace or go back to weekly. We'll
Yeah,
just see.
yeah, we'll see. I think that 2 times weekly is a good pace, anyways.
You mean every other week?
Yeah, that's what I
You said
meant.
2 times a
Really?
week, yeah.
Well, that would be crazy pace.
That would be a bit insane.
Yeah, because you have a lot to do, like with Faktor, with same. There's a lot going on anyways. And
Yeah, it's been okay actually. Like I usually do it on the weekends anyway, like editing and uploading and everything. But yeah, I'm gonna be gone from work from June until October, so
yeah,
I'm I would have time in June up until August, but after that probably not. So yeah, that's the update.
okay, bye. I'm just kidding.
And then there were some other things I thought we should talk about just because they're like, I think they're interesting. I don't know if other people think they're interesting. But recently, like 3 weeks ago, I had this sudden urge to redo our website.
Mm,
Um, because I was trying to, what I wanted to actually do, this is like this typical thing where you want to do a task and then you realize to do that task, there's like a dependency.
mm.
And then you have to fix the dependency first. And basically what happened is I wanted to do some lead generation. So I wanted to write some like cold emails and DMs like on LinkedIn, try to get more like connections and like hopefully projects from clients like the ones we've worked with in the past like 2 or 3 years. And then I realized if I'm going to write these clients or potential clients, I felt like our website didn't really represent what I wanted to say in the emails. And then I was like, I have to redo the website now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it goes back to positioning, our favorite
Yeah.
topic, anyways. At least we keep talking about positioning a lot, but I feel like whenever you have to do it yourself, it's extremely difficult. Like the theory is kind of easy, but then I would say kind of easy in terms like compared to the practicality of it, because you really have to sit down and really think, okay, what in our case, what projects drive most of the revenue, or which projects drive most of the revenue? Which projects do we actually enjoy working on?
Yeah.
Which clients do we enjoy working with? And all of this then comes together to a positioning, because those are usually certain industries, and within these industries there's certain types of clients, and those are the ones we really enjoy working with. I mean, there's more than that we enjoy working with, but as we always keep preaching, it's good to really just focus on one thing, and the rest can still happen. Like you're not restricted to this one position. I don't even know, this one
Yeah.
niche. You're not like, yeah, you're not caged into that one niche.
Yeah. And I wrote a blog post about how to sell value for Factor. And then to describe, like, to give an example in the blog post of how you would sell value.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I described how we sell our services and what our USP is. And then I realized our USP is on the website somewhere, but it's not like you went on it and you immediately understood the USP.
Yeah.
And our USP, just to describe it again so people have context if they do look at the website now, if they've seen the old one as well, like, our main USP is actually building systems that are really scalable, and then while doing that, they're, like, very usable, very scalable, like, conversion driven, all these things that these, like, corporate companies love. And then on top of that, they're also highly branded, and they tell the brand story. So
Mhm.
it's not like we build and design websites like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example, something that's not, like, super branded, like something like ASOS or, like, Zalando, because it's not a brand, it's selling other brands, like, it has to be really usable and really, like, scalable, but the brand story is not in the it's not it's not part of the brief because it doesn't matter. But with the projects we do, like, all of the projects we've done, the brand story was at the forefront of the brief. Either the personality behind it, like for Kylie Cosmetics, or the heritage, like with Sally Hansen. And those were things that weren't coming across on our website.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's actually true, like, period.
So, because what our website was doing well was describing, like, the fact that the stuff we do is really usable and, like, conversion driven, all these, like, buzzwords, which I think that doesn't set us apart from every other agency doing
Mm,
it, you know?
I think the one thing that that website did right is to show that that we work within systems, but within those systems, we're being playful, and we always, like, do something that's a bit, I wouldn't say out of the ordinary, but a bit more special than
Yeah.
just being like, okay, your basic agency website. But by doing that, um, it was kind of difficult to really understand the essence of us,
Yeah.
because while we do those types of designs, we as a studio might not actually, I don't know, it's really hard to describe because it kind of fit us, but on the other side, it also kind of, like, showed us smaller than we are, or,
Yeah.
like, in a sense, it gave a different kind of feel what we are about, and it didn't convey what we are actually about. It conveyed that one part of us, but not us as a whole. Maybe let's
Yeah.
put it that way.
And it also that's the other thing I noticed when I looked at it from the perspective of I'm sending this to a lead, a potential lead, and they're gonna view this for the first time and they've never heard of us before.
Yeah.
And then I felt like when they see this, I don't think they'll be convinced that we can handle a project at scale, like a project from Coty Inc. or a project from, like, I'm just gonna name some of the brands that I'm interested in getting in touch with, like L'Oreal, like Revlon, like these big names where you're like, I just felt like if someone from there looks at our website, they're gonna think and we are a small agency, it's not
Mm,
about lying, but they're gonna think we're like a small boutique agency that can't handle that scale.
yeah.
And what I wanted to change about the feeling of the website was like, yes, we are small in terms of like size of team, but we're not small in terms of like the projects that we take on and that we can handle, teams with a lot of stakeholders. We can handle projects with tight timelines and like chaotic timelines and the corporate kind of project management. We can handle all of that. And I just felt like the website before wasn't saying that. So then I was like, oh my God, I have to change the website.
Yeah.
But I was really motivated to do it. Luckily, it was like a switch that went off in my head, and I knew exactly what I needed to do to get it to the place where I felt like it would say all these things that I wanted it to say.
Yeah.
And it only took me like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you start, like, in this tunnel vision, in this
Yeah.
hyperfixation mode, kind of goes fast.
And luckily, it was like right before some client work came along, and I was able to get it done like in a window where there wasn't a lot going on other than that.
Yeah.
So I was able to really just like hyper focus and do the tunnel vision thing, because I think sometimes when you have those moments, you have to like, unfortunately, you know, do the client work or do whatever else comes along, which is more important or like has a higher priority. Anyway, so I did all that. And then, so if anyone has been on our website recently, and by our website, I mean the agency website, not the podcast website. So like the Same Team Studio website. And you noticed it changed, yeah, that was, kinda spontaneous and not planned at all.
I mean, one thing though about us is that we are not afraid of pivoting or just like trying out something new,
Yeah, and just, like, throwing out
adapting.
stuff, like, I think a lot of people, we did spend a lot of time on the other website.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people would have this feeling of, what's it, like, sunken cost or whatever, where you're
yeah, I
like,
don't
you
really have that.
me neither. I'm just like, yeah, like, it just is, it wasn't serving us, so why. I also didn't feel like it made sense to Frankenstein that, you know? I was like,
No,
"We need a new clean slate, new logo, new branding, new
yeah,
website."
yeah, I agree.
And now I feel like it really represents what we've been doing this whole time. We just didn't, like, I don't know, I think it just never, until I wrote that blog post and I had to explain it to somebody else in a way that, like, is really understandable, I realized that on our website, it's way too convoluted and, like, confusing.
Yeah,
It needs to be really, really simple. It needs to be like you go on the website and you know immediately what this agency is about.
yeah, I agree. It was, I think it was like, I don't know what we had before, I remember. I think it was also like a spontaneous burst of inspiration that struck me when I started redoing the website. But I don't know what triggered it, to be honest. I think I also had like, I think it was kind of like, I have to think. I don't remember why I did it.
I don't remember. I think
There
no,
was
I
some
think
kind of
I remember
trigger.
what it was, and it was also lead generation. The
True,
reason was we wanted to be more like focused on SEO
true.
and like optimized for SEO.
Oh, and we wanted to build it in on Framer, and I just didn't want to just take what's there and just rebuild exactly what's there. Because at that point, I think AI wasn't such a big thing, and it was a bit more, yeah, more of a time investment to add new components or to change components, and I just back then didn't really have the time.
Yeah.
And so Framer made more sense for us. So instead of just rebuilding what we have, I figured, okay, might as well redo the website since we're here. And there are some cute elements to it. Like, I think maybe, sometimes you need steps in between before you get where you really want to be.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine. Like, I'm not sad about it.
No, I mean there were cute elements, and I think the concept of it was actually cool, but it wasn't. It was like one of those things where we were designing more for us and
Yeah.
less for the client.
Yeah, see, that's why I'm not a designer anymore.
Yeah, but it's something that I didn't even call it out back then because I wasn't really in it.
Mm,
And I think that's also like something I've noticed about, and maybe this is just me, I don't know, but I feel like um I wasn't really in it when we did that website. Like I
yeah,
wasn't in the headspace to think about, okay, lead generation and who's
yeah,
going to be looking at this, who are we contacting? And then I got into this like lead generation, I don't know, kind of, I was very fixated on finding the right people to contact.
yeah,
And then it like all started to make sense to me. And before I was like, okay, lead generation was just like so abstract. And I didn't have like the end goal of this is the person I want to contact and what's their reaction going to
yeah.
be
More like the
like.
target group wasn't quite clear.
Yeah.
Like, we kind of knew abstractly in a way our target group, of course, but I don't think that we had one specific target group, and that was the issue.
Yeah. And
Because we
now,
work with a wide variety of clients, and I enjoy aspects of working with these types of clients. I enjoy aspects of working with these types of clients. And we had like two main client groups. And I think speaking to two target groups is extremely difficult. And narrowing it down was the better choice because then we have one target group to speak to, and that's way easier than
yeah.
multiple target groups, even though our projects are more diverse than what we present. Let's put it that
Yeah.
way.
And what I wanted to do with this website was have the focus on like the bigger clients because those are the ones we want to target now with the lead generation. But there still are like, sprinkled in to the website, like lower down on the page, or like when you go into the case studies, lower down on the page, there are those smaller projects still there.
Yeah.
But like the focus is on the big names. The focus is on the like names that people recognize right away. And that
Mm.
was like the tactic was to not completely not completely like take out the smaller clients and be like we don't work with smaller clients because that's not what it's about. Um, it's but just more to have like the bigger ones in focus. It's like was kind of my strategy. Because I noticed that other agencies do that too. Like other agencies, like similar to ours, they have, the bigger names are like in the forefront, and then further down the page or like
Yeah.
somewhere else on the website, you see the smaller names.
Yeah.
And the impact is at the beginning is still like, oh wow, they worked with this client. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then the rest is like, okay, that's also nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we also failed a little bit to do like competitor analysis
Yeah.
when we did the original site.
I actually did that a bit. It's just that I was looking at I had 2 target group actually, I had 3 target groups in mind. That was the main issue, and starting from there, it could only get worse because, you cannot speak to 3 target groups. It's just not
Yeah.
possible, and I was trying to speak to 3 target groups because I tried to consider, which was a mistake, they actually are, like, preaching against, but, it's like kind of when you go to therapy and you're, like, self-reflected enough, or you're like, "I know this is like a I don't know, a flaw," but then you keep on doing that flaw.
Yeah, but it's also a balance. Like also with this new website, there were decisions where I was like, do we want to niche down to that extreme or not? And I
Yeah,
decided against it. Like originally I was thinking let's only do beauty
yeah,
and skincare brands because I think that beauty and skincare brands want to know. And we've had this question before with potential clients in the past. Like, have you worked
mm,
with apparel brands before?
mm,
Like they really want to be they want to feel like they're in good hands with somebody who understands their type of product. So for a second, I was like, I mean, in the last couple of years, we've really only been doing beauty brands
that's
and
true.
fragrance
Apparel too.
and apparel. And I was like, maybe we should just only do like communicate, we only do beauty. But then I was like, how about I mean, I feel like beauty, skincare, fragrance, and lifestyle and lifestyle can be apparel.
Exactly.
And I feel like those four are very, I don't know, part of the same world in terms of like brand story and what people respond to. So I feel like it's okay to name all of those. And it seems like a lot because like this list of four different industries, but at least they're named in some way. Like I just thought it was important for it to be there.
Mm,
Like we do e-commerce websites. Yeah, okay, but like
yeah.
that could be anything. It could be Amazon. But like we do, highly branded work for skincare, beauty, lifestyle, and fragrance.
Yeah,
Like I
I
think
think
that's
I
a
really like
stronger
the highly branded
positioning.
that was even though the product showed it, it wasn't clearly communicating it before, or we weren't clearly communicating it before. The highly branded
Yeah.
experiences which we do, and
And
that
it's
was
all we
missing.
do. Like
Yeah, I
even
know.
even in the even in the like ongoing work we do with Coachy, like for Kylie Cosmetics, it's highly branded experiences for each like fragrance launch.
Yeah.
Like every single fragrance launch was like, okay, this is the new like Cosmic One, Cosmic Two, Cosmic Intense, and each one has its own world. And like when you go onto the PDP, you're like encompassed by this world of that product.
Mhm.
And that's so unique. Like no other e-commerce does that.
No, and that's actually something we enjoyed the most throughout all the websites that we did. Remember,
Yeah.
like starting from, I don't know, like Catching Theo, like that was like the first project that we got, and we immediately felt the brand essence, we felt the message, we felt the goals, and with that in mind, we were like able to really create a unique experience. Also, of course, the clients play a big role in that, how much freedom they give you, but I
But
feel like
that's
we are
the thing,
lucky
like,
with the clients
and that's
because
also something that I put on the website is that we enjoy working with clients who value branding
yeah,
and who want to tell a branded story on their e-commerce website.
yeah,
And I think that that speaks more to like specific brands rather than just like a generic, yeah, we do usable websites that are pretty,
yeah,
yeah.
because I feel like that's the minimal that you have to do anyways.
Exactly.
It needs to be usable and it should be scalable for most projects. It should be scalable.
Yeah. And I want to give a shout out here to Tamara,
Yeah.
who was on our podcast where we did like an episode really about positioning because she made me rethink the website
Yeah.
back. And I was like, I thought the website still said what we wanted it to say. And I made a couple of changes, like, I took out a couple of projects on the
Mm.
landing page, and I also took out, like, one of those target groups.
Yeah, I remember. Oops.
Um, and for a while, I thought, like, "This is fine, like, this is enough, like, for the lead generation." But then when I got really, like, deep into the topic, I was like, "Okay, no, we need a whole new thing."
No, it's extremely complex, and it's also difficult to really 100% nail your essence. I think you really
Yeah,
have to sit with yourself and really think about it, and sometimes it's a journey.
and it
Like,
changes
maybe
too.
exactly, so maybe for some specific journeys, first you need to be a maximalist and just put everything out there, and then you start and start and start taking away, because it's easier to take away than to, like, really start from a minimalist standpoint. I
Yeah.
think that starting niching down is more difficult than, like, that's why often you start as a generalist and then you start understanding, okay, this is something I enjoy more. Okay, so you go more and more in that direction. And I think that's also what happened to
Or
us
you
with the
also
clients
yeah,
and
or
who we
you
want to talk to.
you also realize what work you've actually been doing, like, my realization we're only doing beauty and fragrance, why are we
Yeah.
acting like we do everything?
Yeah.
So it's like we should communicate that in some way.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so that was, like, that moment where, yeah, things changed because it wasn't that way, like, 2 years ago, it wasn't like that.
No, like we move fast. We move a lot, kind of. But I like that. But we stayed consistent with a lot of clients. So what stayed consistent is the way we work. That hasn't really changed. Like, our essence hasn't really changed since the beginning.
No, and I think that's why we have, like, quite a few clients that we've been working with now for 2, 3 years
Yeah.
because it's just, like, the quality of the work and the work that we do hasn't really changed. It's just that, yeah, like, what we communicate to the outside world,
Yeah, we did
it
so much.
didn't catch up or wasn't catching up with what we were
No,
actually what we have been doing.
but it's an interesting journey
Yeah,
anyways.
and I just like to share that because I think that, I don't know, people I don't know, people don't share a lot of the times why they redid a website. Or you don't get to see those insights a lot. Like we know why Kylie Cosmetics back then redid their website, but
Yeah.
like did people who use the site know that? Probably not.
No, I
You know,
don't
so
think they really care, like, if you're not from a design background. Like, you're
yeah.
not super curious onto why. Okay, usually you suspect kind of like, either a rebranding or, yeah, usually rebranding, kind
Yeah.
of. I think that's the usual indicator, and then
But
every
they didn't even really have a rebranding.
no, no.
It was just about like having a better user experience and stuff. I just think those insights are interesting and I think we don't have a lot of insights about like in the agency world about, why an agency redid their website or
Yeah,
like did they do it just because they were bored and they had time to kill?
yeah,
Or was there like some strategy behind it?
yeah,
And in
that's
this
true.
case it was like, it wasn't, "Yeah, we had free resources," and we're like, "Yeah, might as well do the website again or new." It was like there was an actual strategy behind it and it had to do with, like, lead generation.
Yeah. Also, shout out for us for being humble.
Yeah,
I don't know, not even
admitting when something you've been doing isn't working or, like, doesn't make sense
I
or
feel like
was
we
wrong.
we do that a lot though.
We do it all the time, to be honest.
But there's a lot of things one does wrong. I don't know. I feel like you do more things wrong than right in terms not okay, no, that's a bit of an exaggeration. But what I'm trying to say is a lot of times one makes, like, wrong decisions or goes into a direction that doesn't serve them so much anymore, but then you realize it and then you pivot.
Yeah,
And there are not so many stories out there that are about this pivoting or, like, things going wrong. I know that there are, like, some failure stories, but then they always lead up to being like, wow, but now I'm this really cool person who makes millions and billions, whatever. But you're not really in them with them in the journey of the failure, the journey of rebuilding or pivoting. You really just see, like, the end result, which is, oh, I'm rich now and have 1 million followers. Or, yeah, you hardly see anyone, like, through the whole journey. Although it's actually now bit more common, but I think back in the days when a lot of people got, like, really successful, that wasn't the thing yet to really document everything that you're
yeah,
doing. So of course you can only, like, read a memoir or whatever, or what they just tell you, but you're not really in with them in the struggle with the struggle.
yeah, that's true.
So, yeah. hope this helps someone, or like, I don't know. I think it would have helped me to be like, oh, okay, someone else is like,
I think it's always helpful to hear, like, honest stories about business because from the outside, things always seem good.
exactly. I feel like that's also one thing about the creative industry. I feel like a lot of people are presenting something, or studios are presenting something that then might not be. Wait, I'm trying to rephrase this.
I think they just make everything seem better than it is.
Exactly, and it gives you the illusion that things are like that you wanna, I don't know, of course you kind of take that as a role model or like a goal, but then you get there and you're like, "Oh, wait a minute, it's not what I imagined. I thought I would be, I don't know, would have more money, or
Yeah, or
I
I think
thought it would
people
be different."
yeah, or people question, like, "Does everyone struggle so much as I do, or am I the only one?" Like, it's also,
Yeah,
like, a lonely feeling when you look around and everyone seems to be thriving or, like,
yeah,
doing everything right and everything's going right and stuff.
exactly. I think that, I mean, this is also like a social media thing, not just only related to the creative industry. But I do believe that sometimes we paint a prettier picture than it actually is.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, one last update.
Yeah, last update for this episode is the Factor project is finally launching. So for anyone who
Mhm.
doesn't know, Factor is a pricing tool that we've been working on for almost a year now, which is crazy. Um,
Yeah, it's almost been a year.
I think we started in like June or August or something
Mhm,
last year.
mhm.
Um, and yeah, what is it? I mean, it's a pricing calculator,
Value
but the thing
based.
that's special about it is that it's value
Sorry.
based. So it's
Oops.
um it's not hourly based pricing, which I feel like most people know how to calculate already, or like there's a lot of tools online already for like an hourly rate calculator. But this one is different because you can put in like who your client is, how big is the client, and all this stuff, which then gives you a price that's based on those things and not just on like a single deliverable or the time it takes you to make it or whatever. There's a lot that went into the calculation. On the 29th of May, we're launching it, like, and we're doing a launch party, which is gonna be fun.
Yeah, and exciting. It's always like exciting to, we have already been beta testing it, so maybe some of you have already seen it. But yeah, releasing it to the world, it's kind of like exciting step.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what the reactions are from people who go to the event. Um, because yeah, I guess we're gonna provide a lot of context on that day too, because we're gonna do like a presentation
Hmm.
of like our motivations and then how we ended up working together and then how the calculator works. And then
Hmm.
you're gonna show the demo and then people get to test it after. So
Yeah,
that's gonna be fun.
I'm really excited. Like the way we're communicating it is that we want to introduce a new standard for creative pricing. That's kind of like a bold statement, but it's a it's a pioneer kind of project in a sense where we take existing concepts and present them in a new way.
Yeah,
Meaning that yes, we take things from value-based pricing, we take things from hourly-based pricing, but those
and
aren't,
project-based
and
pricing.
project-based pricing, thank you. But we are mixing it in a way where we think that value-based pricing, that makes value-based pricing more accessible, because whenever we talk about value-based pricing, it's so abstract. Because yeah, of course you can think about, what is it worth to the client, but let's be so for real. What is it worth to the client? It's extremely difficult to find out the project's worth to a client. Sure, you can ask how much revenue they expect from this project, but I don't think many people would do that, and I'm not sure if many clients would receive that well. I think that there's a lot of good advice out there on value-based pricing, and some really good explanations, but putting that into practice is just like a different reality. And what we are trying to do is to make it more feasible. Like, we are starting off from a base price, and then we start adding variables to it, as in like factors. So that drives the price higher or lower, depending on different factors like
Yeah.
locations of like your location, like the client's location. There's just so much to consider. And putting that all together, we arrive at a very realistic price.
Yeah, I think that the issue with around implementing value-based pricing in our industry as like a standard is that because people like Christo have been talking about this for like a decade or longer. Like I remember the first time I saw a video from him was like 2018 or
He
something.
has been doing that for
I'm sure he's been
several
doing
years
it for
before.
even before then. So probably over 10 years now, he's been talking about value-based pricing and um I understood the concepts pretty immediately, you know? I understood what it meant for our work, and I understood what it meant for us moving forward and how we price and, like, how we ask for like, how we negotiate budgets. But I think his content is very, is focused on the conversation you have with a client and the sales process, which is something that I feel like Factor doesn't do because we have the blog which does that, but it's like that's not the main focus of Factor. What a Factor does is it's like the tool and the framework that helps you like after you've understood the concept of value-based pricing, then you use this tool to actually implement it on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's what I was missing back then was a tool where I could see like black on white, okay, so this is the price for the local bakery and this is the price for the corporate America client, you
Mm,
know? So, because there is a huge difference there, and when Christo explains this, he always uses those 2 examples. He says, like, the local business around the corner and then Nike or something, you know, like, 2 very different companies, and he talks about the impact that the work has and all that. And I think most creatives understand that pretty like, clearly because it's obvious that a company like Nike isn't going to pay the same as a local bakery. But then they have difficulty putting that into practice, and I did too back then. I was like, "How do we actually do this?" And I think what happened with us is that we luckily got into a network where we were able to ask for these prices, and they weren't shocked by it because they expected that price.
mm.
I think it's difficult for people who want to ask for a value-based price, but they're not sure in which network they are in right now, and, like, is this company, like, big enough that I can ask for this bigger budget?
Yeah, I think that's the cue because usually you don't have a local bakery asking for branding or like Nike. It's
Exactly.
like way more nuanced. Like, of course, with this extreme example, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, duh.
Yeah.
But usually you work somewhere in between. Like,
That or you have, like, you're only working for the local businesses,
yeah,
or you're only working for the corporate clients. Very rarely you would have these 2 extremes or, like, suddenly some huge company comes to you.
yeah.
But I think that what Factor does is it gives you guidance for those, like, smaller companies that are still big enough to pay you, like, a fair amount
Hmm.
and shouldn't be paying you the same as, like, you know, the local business or whatever. And those companies are accessible to people who work more, like, with local businesses.
Yeah, I mean, also one thing to consider, like, I think a very big factor that a lot of people don't consider is location. That you
Yeah,
can ask way different prices when it comes to US clients versus Austrian clients. There's a huge discrepancy. Like,
yeah.
it's absolutely crazy, like the difference. And we kind of knew, like, I don't even know how we understood that pretty immediately.
I think most people understand, like, US budgets are different. But I think what
Yeah,
people
but
maybe don't understand is that, like, you know, it's now like in Europe specifically, there's also a huge difference between Austria and the UK, or
yeah.
Austria and Switzerland, or Austria and the north of Europe. Like all the northern European countries often like to spend a lot
Hmm.
on design and marketing. Like those are nuances I don't think everyone is aware of.
I don't know, even with the US, since like most of the people are probably using hourly based pricing. So do they really then consider if it's a client from the US or not?
No, and that is the issue with hourly based pricing. And I think what you were saying before about like we want to set a new standard, it's not necessarily like everyone should start using Factor now to price their work.
Unless
It's
you
about
want to.
it's like okay, you know, like that becomes a standard and everyone learns this tool and whatever. It's not about that. It's about like moving as an industry, deciding like as a community to collectively end this era of hourly based pricing and move towards something like value based pricing that takes into account all of these things. And by doing that, has you come out with a price that's fair for you. It's also fair for the client because it wouldn't be fair to have a package, like a logo package, and have a local business pay the same as like a company with 100 employees. It doesn't make sense, you
Yeah.
know? So like there is that fairness is also like on the other end of it. You know, they have this budget and they should be spending it. There's so much money in the creative industry and it's like not ending up in our pockets, you know? And we need to be able to leverage that in some way. So, and if you stick with hourly based pricing where all your packages are the same, regardless who the client is, what the stakes are, then you're just losing out on so much potential
Mhm.
profit. And not to mention the problem, like why hourly based pricing is problematic for other reasons too.
Yeah, we will get into all of that at the launch event.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know, the standard is about, you know, changing this era of undercharging, undervaluing, underprice like the hourly based pricing, which leads to undercharging usually. And I think that's what we really want to do with this project.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is going to be not just the tool, but doing things like, you know, Christo's content is on, like, it's on podcasts, it's on video, and right now, like, our way of doing that part of the work is the blog. But who knows? Like, maybe it'll go more in the direction of more educational content at some point as well. I think that a lot of people struggle to combine the two things. Like, if you just have the calculator, then you're like, okay, I have the price now, but how do I sell this?
Yeah.
And then if you have just like the Christo educational content, you're like, okay, I understand the concepts and I know how to sell this theoretically, but what do I charge?
It's kind of also like with positioning, no? You know all the theory, and then you really have to sit down and really understand all the steps.
Yeah. So I think what Factor does is it closes the gap between like the knowledge and then the implementation of it.
Mhm.
And that's what I see happening with it.
I need to steal that for the launch event.
No, that's already in my text.
Shit.
I mean, you can, but my part's
Ah,
before yours, so.
shit. I really love the closing the gap. Yeah, the way of saying that.
Yeah, it comes at the end of my part and then I hand it over.
Oh, shit. So you're already leaving an impact there.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
already
never
leaving.
mind. Never mind. I need to find my own impact.
Yeah, you have to come up with something because you're ending the
I
presentation.
know, I know, I
It has to
know.
be impactful.
I know. It really does. Pressure's on.
Yeah, so we're working right now on the content for the event.
Yeah, and then final touches.
I spent like the whole morning yesterday practicing.
Really, I just
Yeah.
finished my like text. I don't know. I just finished like my talking points. Let's put it that way. And it's just all raw that came from my
Yeah.
brain, and I need to like structure it.
Yeah,
But
I had it like that too, and then I spent like the morning talking it out and like
yeah,
I just like said my part like 10 times and then I was like, okay, I need to change something there and change something here. I
yeah,
still feel like a couple of things are like not quite like the transition from one point to the next is not quite clear, which I need to work on, but whatever.
yeah,
I still have time.
yeah. There's still time.
But it's like the first time I'm presenting something since school, I feel like.
What? No way. I mean, you're constantly presenting. You mean like theory or what?
Yeah, like to an audience.
Nah, we have been doing
Yeah,
workshops and
yeah, but those were different because they were more like storytelling, I feel like. The workshops
mm,
we did.
no, I don't think so. Like for example,
No, it was either
FH,
storytelling or like educational.
yeah.
Whereas the what I've prepared for the Factor event is like a podcast live. It's like a TED Talk kind of
Oh, okay,
vibe.
got it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I
So
see.
it's like presenting like an idea and like backing up that idea and then like, you know, it's a bit different. So something
Okay,
like that I haven't done.
okay, fair.
So we've given a little bit of a sneak peek and like teaser of what we're going to talk about at the event. But if you want to be there, there's still spots free. It's on the 29th of May, Friday. Starts at 6 p.m. at Impact Hub. And I'll put the sign up link in the description of this episode. It's not mandatory for you to sign up, but it's just helpful for us to know who's coming and how many people are coming. But like, if you didn't sign up and you spontaneously want to come, then feel free because there's no like guest list or anything like that. And bring your friends. The more the merrier, I'd say.